Hey everyone, Matt from soundrolling.com, and I wanted to show you about the Roger Base Station and the Roger Earpieces. So recently been using this on a little short film where a character has a lot of internal monologue, and that also cues, obviously, reactions, facial reactions, and there's specific timing for those kind of cues. So we pre-recorded all the voiceover, and then we needed something to kind of play those little sections straight into the actor's ear without it obviously being very obvious. So what I thought of was the Roger Earpiece. Very, very small. I think they retail for like this is just like 1,600. Obviously rented, didn't decide to buy it. And then we have a base station as well. Phonak Roger Base Station, and what that allows you to do is basically gives you a few different inputs and outputs to be able to broadcast to loads of these things. When I spoke to these guys actually at IBC, they said you could just daisy chain like a ridiculous amount of them. So I thought I'd just go through some of the accessories and things like that. So first we have the front of the base station. So we have the antenna. We have the input level when that's going, and you want that to kind of be kind of midway, top of the green for whatever is kind of being broadcast. We have the kind of linking or pairing, and so you have to have this about 10 centimeters away, it recommends, and you can just press that to kind of pair a new one to join onto this base station. Obviously, you could run lots of different base stations and you could pair them all together, but once they're paired, they're pretty good. Range was also pretty interesting as well, but I'll talk about that in a sec. Then we have kind of extra amplification, input level volume, and then we have the power button. Very simple, kind of on and off. Then on the back we have 3.5 millimeter. I think this is stereo. I think it's stereo input, but even if you put a mono signal, it'll be fine as well. Then you have balanced, whether through XLR or TRS, or is it TRSS maybe. You have kind of a USB B connection, I think it is, for like a printer, things like that. That can connect straight to a computer, although I didn't use that in this instance, so I haven't fully tested that out. Then there's a thing called NewNet, which again, I didn't really need for my requirements at the moment. And then power. Power is, and I got it from audio department. Power is this cable, but you could obviously modify and get like a D-tap to this and run it off a MP1 maybe. But ideally these base stations are put kind of, in my case, they were plugged in right next to Video Village, and then our director was able to play stuff back as he liked. The actual Roger Earpiece itself means that, if I can focus, basically has these little green caps, and you can replace the green caps because you will need to kind of wash them. I mean, obviously it is pretty dirty, and that's also why the alcohol wipes are super useful. And they also came with 2 extra strips just to kind of thicken up. Obviously everyone's ears are slightly different shapes, things like that. So just to be able to kind of fit it in bigger ears. Thankfully mine are very small, so just that is perfect. And then these little green things are the same as on the very front of this. So dirt, things like that will get underneath those potentially. Wax, obviously, just like squeezing through. And they just run off these little kind of watch batteries. And it's quite easy to get to. There's just a natural little clip right here. And ta-da! So, yeah. That is pretty much the Roger Earpiece and how I was using it with the base station. So what I was then also able to do is I had the base station. Well, so the director had his Mac, and he was queuing up specific things, lead-in times. So the actor could get into the performance. Then this was being sent to the base station, and then from the same laptop, I was also sending it out to a G3, and then a G3 was just plugged into my mixer. And then what that enabled me to do is then mix the internal voice with the exterior sound. But then I was also able to then give the director a wireless headset, so then he can listen to both things together, so you can get the actual sound of the space with the internal monologue. So it's mixing that as well. So just thought I'd share that. I'd never used the Phonak stuff before. You obviously see it. I think this is about 1700 as well, including VAT. So yeah, it's definitely a heavy investment bit of kit if you need lots of them. But range as well, which I said I'd talk about, was generally pretty good. There's sometimes, if there's lots of stuff in the way, this isn't on like a normal radio mic frequency. This is I think 2.4 gigahertz. So again, do expect that if you're trying to put it through like a load of tin foil, or even through like several walls, it's probably not going to work. But you can actually relay quite a lot of these as well. So there's quite a lot of possibilities, and hopefully this just gives you a nice overview of someone who's actually had it in the flesh, as opposed to just talking about it normally. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Battery life as well was easily like a day and a half, although it could have been longer, but generally I was keeping it on and ready. And other than that, there was no other real issues. It was getting used to cleaning and then making sure everything was fine, because occasionally people put it in. If a little bit of something gets stuck on the inside actual mic, it'll go very, very quiet. So do just make sure that you're keeping up regularly with cleaning. And it is super important that you're always using alcohol wipes, because you obviously don't want to give anyone an ear infection or worse stuff, however that could be. So hopefully that helps. Any questions, let me know down below, and I'll try and help the best I can in terms of how I used it. And of course, you can let me know how you used it as well. So until next time, see you later.